into an all-new live episode of that recap show / that happy hour show. No spoiler alert. We are going to be going over stuff that's already come out. We are going to finally go through our Phase 4 rankings for the MCU weeks before we get the launch of Phase 5 with Ant-Man Quantumanium. So with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, joining with me to give our rankings of Phase 4 of the MCU, it's Johnny Rico.
Ahoy, mateys!
We doing pirates?
Yeah.
We got pirates?
Yeah.
Ahoy!
Ahoy! Yeah.
Ahoy, ahoy.
Yeah.
Cheers. Let's kick off the show, right?
Cheers!
Cheers, everybody!
Arr. Very good.
So I got very excited because I actually knew the brand of beer that you were drinking. Because I am not a beer person in general. Like I like, I'll have here and there I'll find a beer that I kind of like. But it kind of felt cool. It was like, oh, I know that brand, and I actually named the beer in particular that I liked from that brand.
Nice, congrats! You were a knower today, and I love it.
Look, it all comes with the territory of having like the hardest ranking list that we had to do.
Right.
My brain juices have been moving all day, kind of thinking about this ranking list. But yeah, this was very difficult. I told you multiple times this week that this was very difficult. This list in general. So I'm gonna stumble through and feel bad about the orders that I have these in. It's like I totally understand no one associated with any of these projects are watching.
No one's gonna be offended.
But I almost feel like in my head I'm like,
feel like you're burning bridges by putting things in the bottom of the bridge. Yeah.
In my head, I'm thinking Scarlett Johansson is watching, and if I rank Black Widow too low, she's gonna be like, well, fuck that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's exactly what I was thinking about when I was writing this list. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I am way too close to any of these projects. But
jokes on you, it's actually on the bottom of my list too.
But I mean, luckily, I do know somebody personally from one of the projects that's on this list.
True.
And that one is at least okay on my list. It's not in a good position. It's not in a bad position. It's in an okay position. So if this gets back to that particular person, then I think they'll feel okay with where it's ranked.
Right. Yeah. Right. No harm, no foul.
Exactly. So you excited for Last of Us? Should we talk about non-Marvel stuff first?
Yeah. There's a few little things, I guess, even though you don't have, I guess, I do want to talk about them, but because, it's Super Bowl weekend, so we're going to be getting a lot of content over the weekend. So, of course, because we're doing this show, we'll definitely be covering that on next week's show for sure. We'll have a lot to cover there. A lot of trailers. But yeah, one of the blessings of that, too, is that we're getting an episode of The Last of Us early, which is awesome. A perfect episode to kind of do that with too, because we're kind of in the middle of this kind of like what feels like a 2-part story arc with the the Sam and Henry stuff, and then of course Kathleen and Perry, all that with the Fedra and that takeover, and of course the big boom going on the floor with the potential bloater situation. So there's all that going on, which is really great, and I love that we're gonna get like a little we're getting the next step of that tonight, which is fantastic.
Very excited. Yeah, I can't wait. And if you haven't already checked out the review for our last episode is up and live, both on the video side on YouTube and on the audio side, wherever you can find podcasts. We're there. You can search that recap show. We're like 9 millionth on the list. But with your help, we can move up to like 8 millionth on the list. Like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's how the analytics work, baby. You just gotta like keep getting likes and listens, and then we'll move slowly up that list.
Yeah. But speaking of like kind of other news that came out this week, I messaged you the earlier this week. Did you see it's doing a freaking Spider-Man noir series
I know.
on Amazon of all places?
I have so many questions. Like,
yeah, tell me. I want to hear them.
well, I didn't like you sent it to me. You just sent me a pic, but is it going to be animated or live action? Do you know?
No clue.
Oh, okay. No clue. I'm assuming, and this is just me assuming, best case scenario is animated because then we can have Nicolas Cage actually voice, like keep that character continuity there.
Yeah, you could possibly keep that there, that for sure.
Yeah, by having him voice it, then absolutely we can have that continuity there. Now, if it has to go live action, I mean, I'm not opposed to it going live action. I'm just saying it's definitely not going to be Nicolas Cage, playing the live action Spider Noir.
It's interesting because Amazon's kind of killing it with some of their animation stuff lately. Invincible's pretty big for them right now, and they have some of the boys animated series. They have a lot of kind of cool stuff out there right now that's really dives into that less family friendly range, but with Spider-Man, I think you can, with the noir stuff, I think you can kind of play into a cool storyline within that same realm.
Yeah.
Especially with Sony at the realm, but you never know with Sony at the end of the day, right? Like what they're doing with these characters and what their end purpose is. But yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic for what's gonna unfold here with this project. I would hope to learn more pretty soon.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully we'll hear something. Yeah, I mean, Amazon Prime moved up the list as far as streaming sites. I don't know where they are in relation to, but they definitely moved a lot higher on the list. And then that's kind of due to I feel like Netflix just wants to keep shooting itself in the foot, and so it's eventually gonna like move further and further down the list on its own, like literally just on its own. It's like, hey, we don't want anyone to share passwords, even if you're part of the literally part of a family, and you just go away to college. Like, I know they kind of rolled that back after everybody was like, well, we're all gonna mass, delete, like unsubscribe type of thing. But they're still, like, if you read into it, they're still going to try that in the smaller markets. Like, it's still happening. Sure. It's just we're gonna do it quieter, and then we're gonna implement it later. Like, it's still happening.
Yeah, for sure. I always think like the streaming services themselves, I always kind of see Amazon and Netflix a little bit different, the same, because they both kind of ride on like this one big hit for them right now. Netflix, for them, it's kind of Stranger Things, and every now and then they got the other hits that kind of do well for them and brings people in, but none are like the kind that keep coming back like they do for Stranger Things, right? And then for Amazon, I would say it's The Boys. People keep coming back for that right now too. Same thing with them. They got a few shows here and there that people really enjoy, but I wouldn't say that it's not that core viewer base for them, I would say.
Yeah, the one thing I will say that Amazon Prime has above Netflix is because it's Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
For a price, you can purchase stuff, you can rent stuff, you can, connect like stars.
It's a rental system like Apple. Yeah.
And Netflix doesn't have that. Like Hulu has that, Amazon Prime has that, but like
Netflix, and the fact that a membership just comes with like having Amazon Prime in general, so it's just kind of like it's the numbers kind of sway in their favor probably there too.
Right, you have like your built-in audience automatically, like a huge. Like, who doesn't have Amazon Prime? Who in their family at least does not have Amazon Prime? Like, I don't personally have Amazon Prime, but my dad does, and all of the old roommates from the New Girl house have it still. That we are still connected through Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Okay, so with the Super Bowl is coming up on Sunday, right? And for the nerds, that only means really one thing, and that's trailers. So I want to know. There's been some lists coming out about like some of the stuff that's going to be released. So I'm curious as to like any in particular that you're looking forward to coming out.
Well, I don't remember everything that was that I know you're talking about the same stuff that I saw, like because we've been sending stuff back and forth. But one rumor, I don't know if this one got confirmed, was that we were going to finally get either a teaser or a trailer for the Marvels.
Yes.
And if that is there, I'm very excited for that. Just because we've seen nothing for it. So I'd be really, really interested to see something with that. I mean, if we got some Secret Invasion teaser or a trailer,
That'd be a good time to drop those too, 'cause that's dropping pretty soon, I would feel like, right? I forget what the date is for that.
I think that's supposed to be before the Marvels.
Yeah, so that's pretty wild.
Yeah. And then I did hear we were getting a new Guardians of the Galaxy trailer.
Yeah.
You want me to
So
bring up
continue.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much on the top of my. I did hear that I can see the box you got.
I know, but I didn't want to interrupt your train of thought too.
No, I was gonna say that only because we were talking about it today because that came. But yeah, I think I'm obviously the most excited for the Marvel stuff, but really I am excited for Secret Invasion just in general because I think that is going to be such an interesting show. That I would love to see anything. Like we don't even know confirmed of who's going to be in it yet. I mean, we could get, I guess we could also get something with Armor Wars. We could get at least a teaser of Armor Wars because that was supposed to be a TV show #1, but it was also supposed to come out soon originally. So I wonder if they've started filming some of that yet.
Right. Yeah. That's a good question for sure. We know Ironheart's been filming.
Yep.
We don't know how far in the process that is, so we could see some first footage from that relatively soon. I would imagine anything coming out within like the spring, summertime is when that hasn't gotten any footage will be the priority for them. And who knows, maybe they're waiting for Ant-Man to come out to possibly release more info on stuff going forward too. So you never, Marvel's always pretty picky, like strategic when they do this stuff. So that'll be very interesting to see.
I wanted to say really quick before we do that, just because
for sure.
You mentioned Ant-Man. In the intro, I said weeks before the start. I'm dumb because I forgot the date. I literally just looked at my laptop and went, holy shit, it's February 10th. I'm seeing Ant-Man February 16th. So I am now less than a week from seeing Ant-Man and the start of Phase 5.
Yeah. A week from today for me, well, at this point we will have already seen it. Whether we'll probably record our recap the following week, but
yeah, we're not gonna do it. Everyone, just so that you don't freak out. Next Friday, we are not gonna come on here and then live.
We're not gonna be talking about the movie.
Yeah, we're not gonna do live. Like maybe we will do like not. It's like spoiler free reactions. Like go see this movie right now. It has huge.
Yeah, spoiler free talk for sure.
Yeah.
But first reactions.
Yeah, that'll be the extent. I can promise you that we're not gonna come on here and give anything away.
Yeah.
Within 48 hours of the movie releasing, type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, we're not that crazy. The following
week
will
give us plenty to talk about.
Exactly. We're gonna have trailers galore and just we could even talk about the commercials we liked from the Super Bowl. Absolutely. And we could do recap of the Puppy Bowl, which is what I will probably be watching.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want me to bring up the thing that you have down here?
Yes, please bring up this great image right here. There's one thing I'm looking forward to from the Super Bowl this weekend right now that I know is confirmed is that we are finally getting the very first trailer for DC's The Flash movie. I mean, look at this freaking poster right here. Look at that shade of Michael Keaton like his bat plane, really. But that Michael Keaton Batman symbol just kind of looming over the Flash, him standing in the Bat Cave, which is freaking cool as hell. I love the suit on the Flash. I think it looks great. I love the lighting on the suit, the way it outlines certain parts of it, and of course the gold boots is always a great touch as well. I have very high hopes for this movie, and I, based on all the earlier actions and stuff like that, and what we've seen of the character already in past movies, I really like Ezra Miller's takes on the character, and to kind of see where it can go from here and what steps they'll do to one adapt Flashpoint, but two, take the steps to introduce the DCU going forward. There's so much intrigue going into this, and I think the Flash is one of my favorite DC characters of all time. Like I said, you're watching the show right now. And I think the first few seasons of that show has some of the best Flash storytelling that we've seen. Outside of maybe the Flashpoint animated movie, which is one of my favorite
Yeah,
anime movies of all time.
that's a really
But
good one.
yeah, but right there, it's June 16th. Worlds collide is what it says underneath the logo, which is perfect because of course we're seeing literally worlds collide with the Michael Keaton Batman and Ezra Miller Flash. So yeah, I cannot wait for this, and I'm so excited. And yeah, I with all things considered, with everything that's gone on outside the movie, put that aside, they're still going forward with it. Still want to see it. Teen Comics all the way. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have a busy spring and summer recapping stuff. It's gonna be
Oh yeah.
batshit crazy, man. Like,
Oh, once March kicks off, it's gonna be crazy with Mando and everything. So it's just like buckle up.
yeah, I don't even know what I should if I should say what I'm gonna do in the interim before March starts, but we'll get into that. We may have a week off before the start of the Mando season. Is all I'll say right now.
Yeah, or we go live on my channel and do a different type of show.
Oh,
That could work too.
Danny on the street. I'll come in live stream from the street.
We could do it.
But anyway, so before we get into our list of 15, I thought this would be the perfect time to kind of bring up the two, well, technically three.
Yeah.
I Am Groot, the little shorts. We kept those out of our list. But the other two that we wanted to put in a different category were the special special presentations. So why don't you take the more nightmare themed one, and I'll take the more holiday themed one.
What are you saying? I'm a nightmare, Damien?
No, I'm saying that I'm divvying them up, and you know that I liked the holiday.
So we have our two specials, but we also have to give love to the I Am Groot little series of shorts that came out earlier this year. I forgot to give you an image for that, but we wanted to include these, but for time's sake, we wanted to kind of cut it down a little bit and just kind of limit it to the movies and the straight up TV series that kind of served into the wider MCU, as if you could say, or just kind of the more story focused characters. Even though these specials were definitely story focused, but and one even a debuting character. But so the one that Danny was referring to, of course, is Werewolf by Night. And I would be remiss if I were to say if I didn't say that this was a great debut for a horror style character within the MCU. Of course, after the introduction of Moon Knight early on in a couple months earlier, we got to see the character that Moon Knight debuted with, which was of course the werewolf, and this really cool homage to the old school horror and kind of doing like this like horror slasher thing, but with also introducing Man Thing, which is really cool, and Elsa Bloodstone. So I thought this introduced not just one but three great new characters going forward within the MCU in this new little pocket of the universe that you can tell some pretty fun stories with. And yeah, just a lot of love for that one.
Yeah. And look, I have nothing against that one. I think that one's great. But I think the next one kind of get it up to the ante a little bit. And I mean, it's more so because, the characters of the next one are near and dear to my heart. And I'm speaking, of course, of the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. It is definitely going to be a holiday special moving forward that I am going to, incorporate with my holiday watching. I think it's good in general, and it's something that I'm going to look forward to every year now to watch. I think the addition of Kevin Bacon is absolutely hilarious. That cameo and I guess part of the actual story is awesome. It gave us a song that will forever be stuck in my head. I don't know what Christmas is, but Christmas time is here. You knew I was going to play it.
I know you.
But the most important thing that it gave us is this incredible holiday sweater. And it is my mission to find this holiday sweater before the next holiday season. And I will wear the shit out of this sweater. So I need to...
Not lying, everyone.
Rico's tired of me talking about this because I have, since that special, like aired, I have been talking about needing to find this sweater somewhere, and that's my mission. So next year in November, I will have that. By November, I will have that sweater, and I will be wearing it in any holiday themed recaps or live shows that we're doing from then on.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, that was a fun one for sure. Both ones definitely worthy of the holiday rotation. One for Halloween and one for Christmas. Absolutely. And
did you see?
Yeah, they both kind of set the moods for both perfectly. I feel, in my opinion.
Yeah. Danny's watch list for Christmas: Die Hard 1, yes, and Guardians Christmas Special. Yeah, I mean, I put the Santa Claus on there, the very first one with Tim Allen. Yeah, we went through that, but yeah, those are definitely up there, and I'm going to watch them every year.
You can catch that old live show.
Yeah. You just go back on YouTube, you can find the whole live show. We did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, these lists are epic. So
this was fun.
Yeah, this was.
I love this stuff.
I felt so bad. I feel so bad.
You feel bad.
So you want to kick us off with your number 15? We'll go 15 to 1. This is all the
bottom to the top.
TV show, or we did series and movies. That's why we took out the special presentation and we took out the Groot shorts.
Yeah, shout out to Groot too. That was a fun little adventure. Yeah. At the end of the day, they served no greater purpose to the MCU. And it was just kind of just telling these little fun adventures of the character that may or may not have actually happened. Who knows? But but yeah, okay. Kicking off number 15 for me is She-Hulk. This was I enjoyed this for what it was, but I felt like at times this was a show that didn't know what it wanted to be. And the introduction of Daredevil was really fun. The Kevin twist is a lot of fun with that. I just felt like the show could have been more, especially when it comes to the way you use the Jennifer Walters character. I would have liked to see more courtroom drama stuff out of this and make it kind of almost like the way those early Daredevil seasons were, where she's actually in the courtroom. But with the way almost like the courtroom cases kind of were like the basis of a storyline for an episode. Right. And you can use her superhero aspects of her to help solve the case, or to win win the trial for her. But yeah, so I feel like there was a lot of lost potential there with this character, and hopefully when they bring her in for into the wider MCU for a bigger purpose, like if she's going to be brought into this Avengers world, whoever else is handling it can do more with the character and what she's more capable of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything bad to say. Like this is further up on my list. Is all I'm going. And I'll save my comments for then. But moving on, my number 15 was actually Black Widow, and it's not that I didn't like this movie, and I'm going to say that multiple times on this list. Yeah. It's more that I feel like it came out at the wrong time.
Oh, for sure.
If this had come out sandwiched between Infinity War and Endgame, I feel like I would have appreciated it a lot more. If it had come out before Infinity War, I would have appreciated it a little bit more. Like you know what I mean? Like I just feel like I like Yelena as a character, and I'm glad we're gonna have her moving forward in the MCU, and I'm glad what we had her in Hawkeye, and we're gonna have her more in Thunderbolts and stuff like that. So out of this movie, I got a character that I really, really like. I like Red Guardian. I like, Black Widow as the character in general anyway. I've liked her in past movies and Avengers movies and stuff like that. For me, I think it is very low on my list because of the time that it came out. I really feel like that is what it is. And I mean, it really is because of the pandemic, because I mean, it got pushed, it was like the initial slate of movies that all got pushed back, and it got pushed back almost a year. But I mean, that still would have been released after Endgame, regardless. So right. I just think for me, it's lower on my list just because of circumstances like that. I don't think it was a bad movie. I don't think it was the best movie. It wouldn't have been in my top 3 or top 5, but I think it would have been higher on the list had it come out at a different time.
For sure. All right.
What you got next?
My number 14 is Thor: Love and Thunder. Man, This is a story when it was announced that I was super excited for. The whole storyline of Jane Foster becoming Thor and the way she becomes Thor is a really heartfelt story, and I feel like they to some extent they did pretty well with that part of the character, but I also feel like they kind of there was just something missing from that storyline that I feel like could have really made the impact a little bit more
Mm.
significant. And man, I feel like Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher is such a great casting choice, and I feel like they could have done more with that character at the same time. And the character, I think this is what Thor Ragnarok did so well that this movie didn't do as well, which was they balanced the comedy with a really solid kind of family storyline. Whereas I feel like they leaned more into the comedy in this one. It's almost like when you watch Guardians 2 or Ant-Man 2. I would say Ant-Man 2 is a better example. How it just kind of fully leans into the comedy as opposed to balancing these story aspects and making it what makes these MCU stories so special. But yeah, I just feel like you could have done more with that character, and I feel like some of the silly stuff. Of course, the goats can really like after a couple rewatches. I think the goats really do wear on you a little bit, and but then there's really silly storylines, kind of like the whole love triangle between Thor and Mjolnir, and then and Stormbreaker. Like that's kind of funny too. But yeah, there's just kind of elements to me that don't work as well on a rewatch, and I really wish that something like this could have served the greater MCU more. The introduction of Eternity is really great,
Yep.
and to a greater extent, just seeing like the I forget the name of the city where all the where all the gods go, but where we meet Zeus and all that is really
Oh
cool.
yeah, yeah,
But I think that aspect of it is really cool. Is seeing how all these different gods of different mythologies converge into one little place is cool too. And of course, the introduction of Hercules and all that. But yeah, I think I at the end of the day, I feel like it's about 50-50 on stuff falling flat and stuff really hitting. And yeah.
yeah. I mean, this was my number 14 also. And
Hmm.
I pretty much agree with every point that I do. We were just talking about Thor: The Dark World, and how Thor: The Dark World had to happen like that and had to be received that
Right.
way to get a Thor Ragnarok. So I almost feel like this is a victim of how well Thor Ragnarok did. They were like, "Oh, people
Yeah.
love that. Let's do it even
The
more."
Taika effect almost.
But
Like
it's not even that
it got
because
too Taika-y.
right, right, exactly. So it's almost like it maybe it wasn't even him. Maybe it was like the I'm not gonna say like execs at Marvel, but maybe Disney, and they were like, "Look, everybody, Thor Ragnarok did all this and broke all that.
Yeah.
Do more of that. We want more money. Do more of that." Like, you know what I mean? So like we, I feel like that was the kind of it was victim of that kind of thing.
Yeah. I feel
Because
like Korg did dirty too a little bit because he ended up just being if you play God of War, he's basically Mimir now. He's just a head on a belt line that just like makes jokes and silly stories. But I think at the end he starts doing better, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember how that all worked out. Dwayne. And then he meets Dwayne
yeah,
Dwayne, but I just felt like there are characters like we'll talk about another movie later on that kind of utilize some characters, underutilized some characters. I mean, we talked about it in the recap too. But
yeah,
yeah, I there's just like I always feel like there when I watch the movies for the first time, I always love it because I'm experiencing the movie and I'm having a good time. So I don't hate any of these movies, of course, like you were saying.
right.
Like we don't dislike these movies, but there are flaws that we have to point out and be honest with ourselves about. And when you watch them on a rewatch, they start to become a little bit more clear. I feel like, and you okay. Now I'm watching this and I've absorbed it all, and I'm starting to see these little things that I was just kind of like taking in and being excited about the first time. And now you're kind of just like, how does that fit? Does that really fit? And now I'm gonna go into some other picks I'll talk about later too.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I think rewatchability definitely factors into these lists because I
Mhm.
do know, like, our top three, our top five are ones that I can rewatch all the
Right.
time, type of thing, and still enjoy, even though I know everything that's going to happen and stuff like that. So I think it really is an important way to look at it. But yeah, I wanted this movie to be really good. But yeah,
Yeah.
I totally get it. So what was your number 13?
My number 13 is Black Widow.
Oh,
So yeah, I actually, the more I thought about this one, because when we play Fortnite, we were talking about this a little bit too. I thought this was gonna be my bottom one.
Mhm.
But the more I thought about it, the more I kind of thought about how the aspects of it I did like more than the stuff I didn't like. Um, for one, I like the way Taskmaster was portrayed as far as abilities and such, but I didn't like the way the character was kind of used in the movie. Um, in the books, the Taskmaster is just a really fascinating character. Um, he's not just like this kind of mindless drone working for somebody else. And I really like the family aspect of this a lot. Of course, you mentioned, of course, the introduction of Yelena and of Red Guardian. I think those characters are
Yep.
really great characters to use going forward, which is why, of course, we're going to get them in the Thunderbolts. But I think this also, like you said, this movie suffers from just coming out way too late. And I think had this movie come out maybe after Civil War, which is kind of where this takes place, and it sets up her story going into
right.
Infinity War, that would have been even better. But this movie also introduces, I think, Val. I think for the first time, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, no, it was supposed to, but because it got pushed, we got the introduction of Val in another project on this list, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, that is correct. Yes, yes.
It's because it got pushed. We were really supposed to have Black Widow come out before that.
That's why. Yeah, that's why I had that in my head. That I was trying to figure out when the first time we saw her was.
Yeah.
And that is correct. But yeah, that sets up, of course, her Yelena's future appearance in Hawkeye, and so I thought this movie does a great job of actually setting up things for the future MCU, also going forward. And at the end of the day, I think when you watch it with the hindsight of Natasha's death in Endgame, that it's a cool like homage and goodbye to the character if Scarlet is done forever. I would say there's always a chance that they bring back everybody for Secret Wars. They pay them enough money, right? But
Man, that's the rumor.
yeah, of course, exactly. So, but if she was to say like, I'm done with this, I'm good, that was a great send off. I feel like for that character, and I feel like the only way she got done dirty was the fact that they got released streaming, and she didn't get any of that box office money.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
that
the
was
legal battle too. So DV
Yeah.
brings up the legal battle too. There's probably there is some good blood there.
Well, actually, I heard that they came to terms, and so they're okay.
True.
Like,
yeah.
type of thing. But yeah, I mean, the problem is though, like if they had released it in theaters, it was in a bad time. Like I was not feeling comfortable going to the movies yet.
Right.
If,
No,
if that had
it was
been
a
released.
victim of circumstances at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
So I understand like saying like that, like they should have, had some sort of amendment in her contract, like, hey, we're crazy times. We have to release this streaming. So you're going to get X for that. Like, you know what I mean? Like we just,
Yeah.
there's nothing we could do.
True.
Yeah.
You're 13,
anyway,
Danny.
My number 13, and this makes me feel bad because
Don't feel bad. Stop feeling bad.
I did
I'm
enjoy
gonna
this
slap
movie.
you on the hand like this. Stop feeling bad.
I did enjoy this movie, but
I'm slapping my own hand when you say I feel bad. So remember that. I'm hurting myself. Just kidding.
Number 13
No,
for me is the Eternals.
Hmm.
I remember talking about this movie and being super excited for this before it came out. And there's I have nothing against it. I just feel like there was kind of a lot of,
There's a lot to take in.
Yeah, there's a lot initially, like where they're like kind of setting all the story and setting everything.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden it just you get like the third act. Like I feel like it's like the first two acts of setup and then you get the third and that's it, like type of thing. It's not
Yeah, it's a big juggling act.
right.
So
So
there's 10 of them.
exactly. So for me, I just felt like it was just like, and I've rewatched it. I mean, we did a recap on it. So I rewatched it for that recap. I remember doing that because I saw it when it first came out and then I watched it again. So I enjoy it. It's still a movie that I enjoy. Yeah, I feel like that for me was kind of like why it's lower on my list. It's just because there was so much to take in. And I really don't know what's going to happen with any of these characters. And I didn't know any of the characters kind of going into it. Not that that's like I have to know all the characters going into it or anything like that.
It could have been Guardians, but it wasn't Guardians.
Exactly.
But not because it wasn't like funny or action packed, but it's just because it didn't hit on that same level
Right.
for their debut.
Right. Right.
Sure.
But anyway, what is your number? What are we? 12?
Yes, my number 12 is the second TV show on my list here, but that is I feel it's funny. I'm telling you not to feel bad about putting these low, but the more I think about this, because I rewatched this over Christmas and I really enjoyed it, but that is Hawkeye. It is number 12 on my list.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw this at number 12 on your list.
Yeah, like we said about about Black Widow's release. It was a victim of circumstance, right? It's just where it happened to fall. But I really do enjoy the dynamic between Clint and Kate Bishop. But there we go. Yeah, I think one of the big things that drags this down for me is actually the final episode where mainly the portrayal of Fisk. I feel like it's such a big deviation from the Fisk we know from Netflix's Daredevil. I feel like the way his strength was portrayed was a little cartoonish. I would say it felt a little bit like network TV ish. The way the people fly through the air, like almost like a little obvious that they were on strings flying through the air. In my opinion, it's at the end of the day, you can't really fault a TV show for looking like a TV show. But the stuff that hits in this for me is, of course, the personal journey for Clint. The stuff that he goes through, of course. I love the one scene I do love is him going up to the memorial of the Avengers battle and talking to essentially Natasha's as kind of using it as like a gravestone for her. I'm not sure if he actually knows where the actual gravestone is from Black Widow. That'd be an interesting thing to explore. But the final fight between him and Yelena is really great. That moment they have on the Rockefeller Ice Center. That whole like the dynamic between Kate and Yelena is amazing, and of course
the old macaroni and cheese scene.
Yeah, that stuff.
Of course,
is great.
I like macaroni and cheese.
The elevator or the fight scene at the party going into the elevator is great. Who Lucky the pizza dog, the bro, everyone's great. Jack is great. The LARPers, like all of his stuff is really fun. Again, I think it's just like the wider purpose that it serves. It's just not much other than introducing Kate. It's one of these we have several of these throughout the Phase 4 kind of slate. Is a lot of the sidekick people being brought in. Like you got new people brought in to kind of introduce this new generation of characters, and she's kind of like one of the first ones that they bring in. So yeah, all that's really great, and I hope there's like whatever they do with Kate going up. That's also the thing. I don't know what they're going to do with Kate coming up going forward.
Oh, I think we're getting a Young Avengers or West Coast Avengers. Absolutely.
Yeah. I just hope you have them sprinkled into other projects going in just to further establish them within the audience. And Lucky the Pizza Dog is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, this is much higher on my list. We're getting into like the ones that are all going to be high on my list at this point. But yeah, I think for this, and the reason it is higher on my list is because the rewatchability. I enjoy it. I just like you. I rewatched it all during the holiday season, and it just hits right.
Is this your number 12 here?
No. I'm just.
You're talking about Hawkeye. Sorry.
Yeah. I was just saying that before.
Yeah, there's a rewatchability to it too as well.
Right. So that's why it's higher. I was just saying that's why it's higher on my list.
Okay. Yeah.
But my number 12 is you've already mentioned this is She-Hulk. This is where I put She-Hulk because I really did enjoy the series. I thought, the parts that were goofy and funny, I thought they hit for me. And I really liked the Daredevil episode-ish.
Great episode.
A little bit more than one episode, because we had him kind of in the finale and stuff like that. But I loved that. I love the character in general. I even like, when she's training with Bruce and kind of like
it's got charm.
Yeah, it's got that. And I liked that from week to week. I was really enjoying it. I will say this was the first series where I believe this is the first series where I really, really started looking at, we were really talking about the Easter eggs and stuff like that. Like, blink and you miss it stuff like man with metal claws type of thing. And that was in the newspaper. And like
the post-credit sequences.
Right.
That stuff.
And like the background of her phone is Captain America's butt. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like I really appreciated like
Yeah,
all
dude.
of the added little funny like blink and you miss detail things.
Love that
And
butthole.
Yeah. That's what I really enjoyed from this series and why it's higher on my list.
Nice.
Yours type of thing.
You know, it's funny whenever I see the leapfrog character, you know who I think of?
Who?
Our buddy Pete. That's really good. No, but she definitely has a lot of charm to her. Of course, the introduction of Scar is a big reveal of that too.
Yeah.
I mean, we keep talking about this Young Avengers team, and who better to bring in as a Hulk character than, of course, the son of Hulk. Yeah, there's this new generation of characters coming up is very, very interesting to see. Wongers, yes,
Yeah,
Madison.
absolutely, Madison.
Yes, there's some funny moments in there for sure. And I got to give the show a shout out because it is one of my favorite shirts, which is when the system fails with Daredevil. So it's one of my favorite shirts. So yeah, gotta shout out to New Rockstars for their great merch.
With a Y, but not where you think.
Yeah, 2 N's.
All right. So what was your number 11?
My number 11 is The Eternals.
Oh.
Yeah, this was a little bit higher up my list, even though it's still out. Like, it's just climbing outside the top 10 right there for me. Conceptually, I think this is a fascinating movie. It is a juggling act with all these different characters, but I think just stay on this photo for me, of course. Salma Hayek is Ajax. I think her performance is short but sweet, but I think she's really great. Richard Madden's character arc as oh my god, why am I forgetting his name right now? Is so freaking good. Icarus. Yes, Icarus flew too close to the sun, which is a great little metaphor for his character arc later on.
Yep.
But oh my god, yeah, there's so many great characters in here. Brian Tyree Henry is really great. Kingo, of course, Camille Nanjiani. Barry Keoghan as Druig, and I just watched him in Banshees of Inisherin. I think he's fantastic. Angelina Jolie, like everybody in this movie is fantastic. I love the little relationship between Mikari and Druig, which is really great. The speedster scenes in this are fantastic. I feel like some of the best speedster scenes I've seen in any kind of superhero project, even The Flash. And then, of course, Sprite is this young little character who has a great little personal journey as well. But we can go back to us. But
we were still listing characters. I was like,
yeah, I know. I was having fun. Like, that's the thing. There's so many great characters in here, and
you didn't even
in the movie,
mention Kit Harington.
Kit Harington. Oh my god, the Black Knight, of course, and that great post credit scene that I'm sure we're gonna get some follow up to at some point. We gotta learn what's going on with that Blade movie. But of course, the concept that the Celestials kind of playing this bigger role in the cosmic MCU is a really cool concept that's explored here. The post credit scene introducing Pip the Troll and
Patton Oswalt
and Starfire, of course, Harry Styles. Both a great post credit scene that I feel Thanos' brother, which is also Eros. Star Fox. He's got crazy names. Arrow is his name though. But yeah, I think this is a great family theme story that does a great job with so many different wonderful actors. And Chloe Zhao, of course, coming off of her Best Director Oscar from the year before, going into this movie was a lot of hype going into this. But yeah, I think that it suffered from a lackluster villain with the deviants. The main deviant, of course, was very forgettable. Yeah. And of course, we still need to address that freaking celestial in the ocean, man. Like a bigger addressing of it from other characters. So I think we're still waiting on the potential of this movie to really shine.
Yeah, no, I kind of already got into it, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited to. I'm excited. There's parts that I really liked, and I'm excited for some of the things that these things can lead to.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let me see. My number 11, and this is surprising because I really, if I was, had all these movies and TV shows in my head and just was like blurting out which ones I really liked and stuff like that, I would think this would be higher on the list. But that's why these rankings were so hard for me. And I told you that the method that I used, where I wrote all of them down on a piece of paper, and I would put one on the list, cross it off, and then I'd look at everything on the list, and I would go, okay, of all of these, what's the next one that I love the most out of all of these type of thing? And that's kind of how I did it and kept crossing things off. But my number 11 is Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which is, which I can't believe it's not in my top 10, but it's a movie that I liked. I know it, the audience was kind of very split on it.
Yes.
But that's not really the reason. I mean, honestly, the rest, the top 10 of both of our top 10s are movies and shows that are rewatch today type of thing.
Mhm.
And I think the only thing for me with Multiverse of Madness is the parts that were like so big about it. It's already, the magic is gone because we've seen it, like the big
Right.
reveals and stuff like
Right.
that. So I think for
Surprise
me,
factor.
exactly. So I think for me, the reason that this didn't make it into my top 10 is because of that rewatch. Like I obviously will rewatch it and enjoy. Like
That's very interesting considering another project we'll talk about later on,
Yes. But I mean, yeah, and just like all of them, I mean, the post-credit scene for this is going to have implications on, the MCU moving forward, and there's already talks. I don't know if they're official talks or if they're rumors that I've just read on forums where they're fast tracking another Doctor Strange movie to fit in before Secret Wars. I heard that we're one of the blank spots.
There's a lot to catch up with the character with the way that post credit scene ended up, right? I mean,
Yep.
he what was the Cleo, whatever the name is of Charlize Theron's character that comes in and
Mama's,
opens up into it opens up the dark dimension, and it's like, well, what the hell is going on here? Like, we got to figure out what's going on with that. I would love
Strange
like a
got
Doctor
3
Strange.
eyeballs. Yeah.
I would love to see a Doctor Strange style series. Personally,
that's funny that you mentioned that, because another rumor, I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, is we're getting some sort of series with Wongers and America Chavez, and it's something about the mystical arts. I can't remember what it was rumored to be titled, but it was going to be a Disney Plus series with the main characters being Wong and America Chavez and a couple of the other people that we've seen in this movie and stuff like that. So that would be a really cool series, and maybe we get bits and pieces of Doctor Strange showing up, and that's kind of our glue to what happened there, and then the next movie type of thing.
Absolutely. So, funny enough, my number 10 is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So we can just keep on talking about this. I feel like the positives of this movie for me is I feel like it's one of the things that people are divisive on, like you said, is this movie leans full into Sam Raimi.
Oh yeah,
his style. And I feel like if you love Sam Raimi, you love this approach to the Doctor Strange character. One of the things I do love is when Marvel does let a director's style really influence the character that you're watching. It's one of the reasons I'm really bummed that we never got the Edgar Wright Ant-Man movie that ever came out, but we did get sequences of it. But this movie fully leans into Sam Raimi moments at times. Of course, when the portrayal of Wanda as like a horror style character, I think it works perfectly, in my opinion. One of the main highlights of the movie for me is the musical note fight at the end between Doctor Strange and the Dark Doctor Strange. Yeah, in that one little desolate kind of Sanctum Sanctorum world that they're in. But there are moments in here that do feel like they could have been utilized a little bit better. I think America Chavez is a great character in general, but there's some moments in there where I just feel like it just doesn't work, in my opinion. Just kind of, I thought, although it's kind of like the way Riri's used in Black Panther, which we'll talk about later on, but they just kind of use like these new characters as kind of like the MacGuffins in your story to kind of like you have to protect this new character and do this. They do that with her, but I feel like Wakanda Forever does that a little bit better, the way that it serves the story. I would have, I think she's a hard character to really get her powers portrayed in a really interesting looking way, because of course you get that interesting final sequence at the end where she just kind of like punches and kicks Wanda into like a portal, and I just like that part never really clicked well for me. I'm like, this is a little bit weird, like this young kid just punching this powerful wizard or a witch into into the portal like that, and we couldn't even see Thanos do that to her. Like it was really weird. But the man, the Doctor Strange franchise to me is always just a visual masterpiece. Like you're always guaranteed to go on some kind of visual trip. The first one, of course, being like that initial one that he goes on when he
Yeah.
gets the Kamatage. And then this one, of course, being the trip through all the different universes, right? Which is just like, man, really well done. The Illuminati stuff, fantastic in my opinion. A great way to utilize new characters, cameos, even though they all got brutally murdered. But again, you found a way to open the door into this multiverse world and in different ways, just like other projects that we're going to talk about too later on. But yeah, it just kind of falls into that middle of the road range for me, and it's a lot of fun. It's just it's a very stylistic movie, and I think it's for a particular taste.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are so many great parts in it, just like there are with all of these that we've talked about so far. The good parts are great. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're enjoyable to watch. Yeah, Professor X.
Oh.
I mean, we got our fan casting of Mr. Fantastic, which was awesome to see in live action, and just yeah. There's a lot of things to like about this movie. I did enjoy it. I was on the side of enjoying the movie and liking it and not being disappointed. But I did go into it, like I said, I believe we did like a quick talk about it before the movie came out. I went into it going, okay, this is gonna be a Sam Raimi movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like I put myself in that mindset of like, they let him have control of this movie. Like,
there's shots in the movie that are just Sam Raimi shots. The one that we're going into the eye for stuff like that. But it's a very stylized movie, and I love it. I love that they go that way, their direction.
Yeah. All right. So my number 10 is a show. And I really enjoyed this show. It is The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Perfect. That's my number 9.
Oh, awesome. So we can both talk about this. I really liked this. This was a buddy cop or a buddy hero movie.
I thought you were gonna say a buddy of the shows, which was you're gonna bring up too.
Well, I'm gonna bring up that next, but yeah, this was like like a buddy cop movie, like a buddy
Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, like a perfect, like a Lethal Weapon. I really liked that aspect of it. Like, I loved the back and forth between both of that. It's awesome. It's my favorite. Like it is why I can rewatch it, because I think all of those kind of scenes and are the back and forth between them. Even when Bucky starts hitting on Sam's sister, like all of that. Like,
incredible.
But I mean, it also has a really good message, and it really is, Sam coming to terms with needing to take over the mantle of Captain America, and it leads into obviously the show is renamed, it's Captain America and the Winter Soldier by the end of it, because Sam fully embraces being the next Captain America, and that's going to lead into Captain America New World Order, which we already have reports that we're going to see Bucky in that,
the leader.
The leader, Red Hulk, because we got Thunderbolt Ross is back now. So that's going to be awesome. But yeah, I really like the series. But another really big reason to like this series is one of our good friends, Renes, was actually in this, and I mean, he was giving us kind of play-by-play that there were actually bigger parts, like, and that storyline kind of got edited way down. With his,
I can't remember the name of the group. Was it the Flag
Smashers?
Flag Smashers. Okay, I was thinking Atom Smasher, what I think is a DC character, maybe, but Flag Smashers.
But I was so excited that Renes's character lasted. I think it was Linux. Lasted until pretty much the end. Like he was there.
He got taken out by Sharon, I think.
He did. One of those like melted him. One of those. Yeah.
In story. But this was
he's alive.
This was a really fun story between these two particular characters. Of course, the two best friends of Captain America, right? And kind of like them dealing with one, Steve no longer kind of being in the picture, and of course we get a lot of these hints and kind of like alluding to what happened to Steve kind of after Endgame, and we still don't really have a clear picture on what happened to him. We just know he's gone, as they say. We don't know if that means dead or just not here. But yeah, one, like you said, the message that this story was sending at the time that it was sending was, I think, a very important one. The dynamic between these two characters, even going back to Civil War, is something that's always
Yeah.
been really special. But it's really put into the forefront here. I always think back to the therapy scene between them, where they have to put their knees between each other.
They're right up next to each other.
Yeah. But also the introduction of kind of wider street level stuff within the MCU, like Sharon Carter as the power broker
Yeah.
and how she could possibly play into the bigger picture. Um I there's a certain movie we'll talk about later on that I think she could also play into, that being Shang-Chi, and the way that I think the power broker and the 10 rings can kind of coexist
Yeah.
as one another. Um but I feel like that also this thing kind of suffered from a lackluster villain in Carly Morgenthau and the Flag Smashers, because they didn't give them enough development. I think you could have really. I think the stuff that we did see was pretty good, but there's also more depth to the characters you could have given them to make it a more impactful storyline, in my opinion.
Yep.
But also we got the introduction of John Walker as a U.S. agent, which was probably one of the highlights of the series, and of course the introduction of Val,
Yep.
kind of starting that Thunderbolts build up, right? And just knowing that when we see that movie come out in a couple years, I think it's going to be this amazing build up that started all the way back to the beginning of phase 4. So yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can think back. Like, I have definitely. This is making me want to rewatch like most of, like, definitely the top 10. This is making me want to rewatch all the top 10. But I can remember when Renes, because he was over in Europe filming all of this and everything like that. I remember him just sending me messages and just teasing. Like he was like, I can't say. And I was like, dude, I'm not gonna. Who am I gonna tell? He's like, you do a TV show 2 days out of the week. Like I was like, I'm not gonna tell anybody. Tell me not to tell anybody. But yeah.
So when this show came out, this was before I was on the show, actually, because I started with Loki. And I'm friends with Renes on Facebook, so I see his updates too. But I remember one time he was posting from where I knew the show was filming, and I went,
it was like Prague.
That motherfucker's on Falcon Winter Soldier, and see, and he ended up being in it. I was like, yes, when they made it, I was like, that was so sick. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, that was whole awesome. That whole thing was awesome. And shout out to Renes.
Shout out, friend of the show, Renes.
Yeah, he's back and forth between I think between New York City, Atlanta, and California.
Oh yeah.
So I gotta hit him up and see if he's around. But anyway, moving on to my number 9.
Number 9.
My number 9 is WandaVision. And look, every single thing from 10 on for me is home runs. Like I really enjoyed this series. The only reason it's not higher is because the things that I liked more. But I thought for what this was, I thought this was a great series. I love how every episode we change kind of the time period of everything, and seeing this. I loved watching it as if it was like a TV show of itself. Like it played into that, and we even had Darcy watching it as if it was unfolding, like we were watching it too.
Other MCU ties, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It was just every aspect, I think, of this hit. And we saw what happened with everybody, like what happened after. This was actually the very first, I think, the very first time we saw what it was like for the people who were blipped away to come back.
This was our first Phase 4 project.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really, getting to see the first ramifications of what happened was a big deal for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really excited to kind of see what is going to happen with White Vision on the new season, or the new show, I guess. The Vision Quest show, I believe that's what it's called, right? Yeah. So
definitely
I'm excited
more
to
about
see
that.
What's going to happen with that. And I'm really hoping he has all of the memories back of the original Vision, and we can kind of,
Well, yeah, we know he does. It's just that how he's processed them, and what that's done to his psyche at this point, right? So very interesting to see. And hopefully he's on the West Coast, and we can see him maybe being a leader for the Young Avengers or West Coast Avengers, whatever they decide to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what was your number 8? I guess.
My number 8. I almost read your list.
I know. I keep looking at mine and yours. I keep getting
I
mixed
almost
up.
said Hawkeye. I was like, I already talked about that. My number 8 is Miss Marvel. And boy, talk about a wonderful, wonderful introduction of a character. This was kind of like, in the comic books, even this character is kind of like this generation's Spider-Man, in my opinion. She is a character that she relates to all of us. She's someone that you can see yourself in. Even when we were recapping it, like, we're both in our 30s and we're like, I see myself in this young girl here living in Jersey. Of course, you being a Jersey boy too, like I imagine seeing like this is also kind of a cool thing, kind of to see just the way these communities respond to. Also seeing like, your home state get some love, always love to see Jersey get some love as opposed to always it being in New York, right? But
Jersey City.
Hell yeah, dude. Represent. But the way that family is represented in the show, community, especially with the Pakistani heritage, is in my opinion top notch. I wish I knew the names of the duo that show ran the show, because they were also supposed to work on the rest in peace the Batgirl movie, and I'd really like to see what those guys' minds have for other superhero projects, because I feel like their take on this character was fascinating. And man, you immediately fall in love with Aman Vellani as Kamala Khan, and of course the surrounding cast around her, Bruno, her dad, her brother, like everyone is just so good. And of course the way that the MCU does a great job of balancing both. One, we were talking about this all the time, is stages of grief, but also like they bring these moments of levity with characters like this, who introduce like this kind of like other dimension, like I don't know, like wider dimension stuff. Like right here we have the Nord dimension and all that, and and what they do. So everything is serving this greater purpose. And of course, with Ant-Man coming out in the way, the Bengals kind of look just like the Ten Rings and Kang's machinery. So who knows? Like, and of course, the Marvels coming out, the way that set that up. There was just so much to love here, and the ramifications going forward could be massive with this character to just show how important she really is. And yeah, I really cannot wait to see her brought into the bigger picture of the MCU in general.
Absolutely, and this is higher on my list, so I'll
save those thoughts.
Yeah, I'll save my thoughts for that.
Save.
But my number 8 is exactly what you just said. My number 8 is Hawkeye.
Yeah, sorry, spoiler.
Spoiler alert, Rico.
Yeah.
My number 8 is Hawkeye. Yeah, I mean, everything that you had kind of said, and I kind of already kind of said what I was going to say about this series. I think it works perfect as kind of revisiting it around the holiday season. I think putting it in that setting, like that, the holiday season time, I think was a great move for that. Because I think it really, there is nothing like Christmas time in New York City. Like, I mean, that's coming from somebody who, has moved.
Witnesses it.
Yeah, I've moved to this area, and
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I remember the very first Christmas, because I moved here and literally started working in New York City as soon as I moved. So I had to learn how, like, public transportation worked around, like the subway and all that kind. But yeah, that was where I actually started to go, holy shit, I really like this place.
Right.
And I saw the big Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center and all that kind of stuff. But it really does, show, and that it really is all like, that's what it looks like around, like, and stuff like that. So yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect, the holiday, integrating it right. And yeah, I love Kate Bishop. I think she's balance out of humor and action and stuff like that. I think it was a good balance. We were talking earlier, like with Thor: Love and Thunder, where you were kind of saying they kind of leaned too far into jokes. I think in the Hawkeye series, I think they did the right balance of having jokey stuff, like with the back and forth between
almost like the lethal weapon chemistry that we were talking about with Falcon.
Exactly.
Right? Like, and Hawkeye is literally too old for this shit.
Exactly. Not even that, but like I'm talking about like with Kate Bishop and Yelena, where we had jokey back and forth, but like also kind of the mutual respect, but also kind of the battling. And I'm gonna kill Hawkeye, like Clint, type of thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just think all of it worked. And I do understand your criticism with Fisk, because it was a very different Fisk than what we had gotten in Daredevil.
Yeah.
But in my head, I kind of thought of him as the Fisk that we had in the old Spider-Man animated series.
Okay.
The one that I think it was just Spider-Man, right? It had
The 90s one.
It had like the rock guitar intro.
The one the classic 90s Spider-Man.
It's on Disney Plus. I actually rewatched it all, but
it holds up.
But yeah, it reminded me of that Fisk, where he was larger than life. He could literally pick people up with one hand and throw them around, like that kind of Fisk.
They were going for a more comic accurate portrayal of the character's power and skill set for sure. I think I grown so accustomed to the Vincent D'Onofrio grounded version of the character that it would have been cool to see that. And I wanted a good balance of both. I would say, and
maybe we will get a little bit more.
Yeah, there's still time.
Yeah, exactly. Moving forward, especially after the incident that was alluded to at the end, with the gunfire, and directly where it relates,
blinded or whatever is going to happen. Yeah,
exactly. So anyway, Hawkeye. So what was your number 7? It's both of us. Wait, it is. It's both of our number 7.
We have the same number 7 here, so we can both talk about it perfectly, and that is What If.
Yay.
Jenny, I'm gonna let you go first on this one.
All right. This works perfect because I was actually before, like I said, if I hadn't done my method of kind of putting these in a list order and writing them all out and just getting them out of my head, this probably would have been lower on my list, because I didn't really think it through, like all of the episodes or like the individual episodes. I was thinking of kind of as a whole. But when I actually looked at some of the individual episodes that I really, really enjoyed from this, I did end up putting it a lot higher on my list. Or lower, I guess, higher. How we're looking at it, closer to number 1. And that is because we got the Marvel Zombies episode. That's the first of all of this. And
I love your zombies.
I fucking love my zombies. But not only that, I mean, it made me go buy the 2 anthologies, Zombie Anthology 1 and
great comic
2. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like any project that can make me want to go buy the source material has to be up there. Like there's something special about that to make me want to ingest the actual source material, buy it in physical medium just so they have it, type of thing. Not only that, I mean, we got T'Challa as Star-Lord, and we actually had Chadwick Boseman voice T'Challa in this, and this was the last time he played T'Challa before his passing. So that's really important. Also, it makes his episode that much more of impactful. Like impactful, but as like a, you can go back to that and you can watch it. It's not like, all we had him as Black Panther is, we had the Black Panther movie, and then we had him like in Infinity War.
Right.
But we actually got him in this full episode, and we got to play a fun, what if scenario in this, whereas what happens if he becomes Star-Lord. And I think he did a very good job as T'Challa as Star-Lord. I really liked that episode just in general anyway, but yeah, it just makes it, just like you said, it makes it that much more impactful, knowing that, this was pretty much his last ride as T'Challa. So, but anyway, what were some of the things that you put for What If?
Put this here at 7 for me.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things is I love adventure. Like I talk about this as a gripe for Bad Batch, but I do love an anthology style series where every single episode is its own story. But in this sense here, like every single episode opened up a possibility to a whole new kind of world of story building you can tell. Obviously, with the show, it serves as an opportunity to do backdoor pilots for other shows you want to do. In this case, in the first season, we get the Marvel Zombie shows that we're going to end up getting later on, right? But yeah, like using this as a cool way to explore stories that you never would be able to tell in this universe is something I love. And yeah, of course, like you were talking about, the last performances of Chadwick Boseman, and the zombie episode was a great one for sure. But the way that you were actually able to tie all these episodes together to tell one bigger story as
With the
well.
Watcher.
Yeah, of course. With the Watcher being the main thread between it, and of course, and the Ultron variant, all of that was super well done. And in season 2, you can choose to continue that story on from there, or you can just say, "Hey, we're gonna tell new stories now," and that's what I love about this show. It just kind of leaves the door open for any kind of story to be told, and with any kind of character. If you want to introduce new characters through this, you probably could. But yeah, I had so much fun with the show when it was airing. Every single week, I was like, what new world am I going to visit
Yeah.
next? And what's good? And then, of course, how is it going to build into the next one, right? Um,
We had Party
and
Thor. We had
yeah,
Supreme
and we
Strength.
didn't even get the full season technically. We're getting the part 2 of the season next, where we get to see kind of story arcs that were introduced in the first season that didn't have context before. We're gonna have context now, like with like Gamora being in the finale of the first season. Like, well, she wasn't in the first season, but we find out there's an arc with her dealing with Tony Stark that we never got to see. We're going to see that. Yeah, there's just so much room for great stories to be told in the show, and I really enjoyed it, and that's why I really ranked up so high for me.
Yeah, absolutely. What was your? Where are we now? We're at number
6.
6. Yeah, number
Yeah.
6.
Number
And
6 for me was Moon Knight. Yes. Oh boy. Talk about a show that I've been waiting on. I never expected the MCU to do a Moon Knight show in my but one of my favorite characters in comic books just on looks alone, but this very fascinating take on the character with multiple personality disorder is well done in my opinion. A shout out to Oscar Isaac for a fantastic performance as not just Steven, but Mark and also Jake. Ethan Hawke, of course, was fantastic as the villain. Yeah, and we were talking about this with Thor earlier. I like the way this kind of introduced another side of the MCU with uh one with the afterlife and how other gods from other mythologies play into this world of the MCU, and but um but also it stood on its own at the same time. Like it didn't have to reference other characters playing a factor in anything. It just told its own story in this kind of Egyptian mythology world, and it introduced some great new characters at the same time. The idea of god avatars, of course, these people serving gods as avatars is a really great idea. So we don't even know, like we talk about the Black Panther song, or Black Panther character. Like you don't know if that's really an avatar for the god of Bast, which is really great. So there's so many cool things that the show introduced, like theory wise, that hopefully when we get a season 2, they'll dive deeper into that and also kind of integrate him more and more into the deeper MCU world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to say my thoughts because this is higher on my list. For many reasons, not just because of it, but because of another medium that I got into because of the show. But yeah, everything you said and more. I cannot wait for a season 2 of this. I think Oscar Isaac did so well with playing multiple people, multiple personalities. Yeah. And I purposely, like I said, this for me was another Guardians of the Galaxy thing where I went into it. I stayed away from the source material because I wanted to go into it and have a fresh take on it. I wanted to have that experience and hopefully really enjoy it the way I really surprisingly enjoyed the very first Guardians of the Galaxy when that first came out. So I really, really wanted that. But yeah, I cannot say enough how much I like this series and cannot wait for that to come out. My number 6 was actually one that you've already mentioned, and that was Miss Marvel. And I thought, look, I am shocked that I didn't think of this comparison, but I loved when you said it because it makes so much sense. As in my personality type and one of my favorite superheroes overall is when you said this is kind of the new generation of Spider-Man.
Oh yeah,
because I think that that works perfect. Because I really enjoy this character and I really enjoy every aspect of it. And I mean, this was our first mutant on record, technically.
Yes, the first MCU mutant on screen.
I realized Namor is technically the oldest mutant. But yeah, this was our first time using the word mutant, and I know it was Bruno who kind of dubbed it like mutation, but we did get the X-Men theme and stuff like that when it happened. And yeah, I loved this series. I'm hoping, maybe after the Marvels, we can come back to a series with Miss Marvel again. We can do a season 2, or we can do something else with her. But I just like kind of the just kind of like exactly what you said, where it's kind of got that lighthearted approach to serious things that are happening. And it's the same thing with kind of Spider-Man No Way Home. We have Peter Parker who's still in high school, and we have his kind of take on dealing with the situations and having to live up to being a hero and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed this series just as much as I really do enjoy Spider-Man in general. But yeah, so yeah, that was my number 6. Rico, what was your number 5?
Okay, my number 5. You talked about this one earlier. It was your number 9. Is WandaVision, and boy, yeah, man. Talk about a not a movie, but a series that played out like a movie. Really, even though it was mimicking so many great sitcoms of our time. The way this was just kind of like this talking point week by week, like they're like, what's going on here? And the way these little seeds were being planted into this kind of bigger story that was being told, and then it all kind of culminates in this wonderful finale with Wanda being revealed like as the Scarlet Witch, and of course the storyline with Agnes, and it was Agatha all along, and we got great moments out of this show, and
Agatha
of
all
course,
along song.
yeah, the storyline with Monica Rambeau and Darcy and everything. So the way the story was able to integrate so many different things and just keep you on the edge of your seat the entire time was just fantastic. And boy, Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda, in my opinion, is one of the best performances in the entire MCU. And this was one of her shining projects, in my opinion. The chemistry between her and Paul Bettany as WandaVision is just amazing. It's one of my favorite love stories within all of the MCU. And to kind of see that get like this kind of nice button, in my opinion, was just massively well done. I can't wait to see what Matt Shapman does with the Fantastic Four movie. And yeah, in my opinion, this was just like a masterpiece in MCU television.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that, I mean, like I said, it was very hard. Everything, 10 to 1 are all very hard because they're all like, fractions of difference between them type of thing and enjoyment. And yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I loved every part of that. My number 5 is actually a number that I know is higher on your list. And we actually just did a recap episode of this. And my number 5 is Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
I mean, the thing that I like the most about this is it's one we've been mentioning rewatchability and stuff like that. I think this movie it has a complex enough story and just such a vast story setting and kind of bringing in these two different nations with Talokan and Wakanda, that it really does have a really good rewatch. Like you can rewatch this. I mean, at this point, because we just did another recap, or we just did our official recap of it. I've seen it at least 3 times at this point, all the way through to kind of really intake everything from the movie and all the parts that I really like, and kind of just like what you were getting into, and I'll get more into it now. With the addition of Riri Williams and kind of launching into the Ironheart series and that kind of lead in. And I really do think, just like you were saying, the kind of the negative effects with America Chavez kind of being introduced as this new character that needs to be protected and stuff. I feel like they did it in the right way in this, with Riri Williams kind of being kind of thrust into this conflict that's happening. And
yeah,
just like I said in our recap, and I can't say it enough, if you haven't already watched our Black Panther Wakanda Forever recap, I definitely recommend it. I think it was I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back, but I think we did a really good job of it.
It was
But
fun. It was a fun one.
exactly. And what I had said in that is I think they didn't just shoehorn Riri Williams in this to go, hey, don't forget, we got this series coming up sometime.
Yeah.
I think it was a really strong plot point, and it was really cool because I compared Riri Williams in Black Panther Wakanda Forever to Shuri in the first Black Panther, where she was kind of more novice about things that are happening and the situation. She was still going through the same situations, but her emotions weren't as in as they were for the main character of both movies. In both cases, the first Black Panther movie, it was T'Challa, and his emotions were kind of guiding him to make up for what his father had done with,
right,
casting out Killmonger's father and Killmonger in general and stuff like that. And so he felt like he needed to make up for that. And that was kind of what led him to the events that happened. And then in this one, Shuri kind of was we see how emotion can really,
grief.
Yeah, grief and emotion can really just kind of cloud judgment and lead you to do things. And so, yeah, I feel like I said, every aspect of this movie is great. It is in my top 5. It's very hard. 5 to 1 are very hard. Like I said, we're talking fractions of why I like one over the other type of thing.
Yeah, it's all about what resonates with you personally, right?
Exactly. But Rico, what was your number 4?
My number 4.
This makes me angry, by the way.
Good. No, I'm kidding. I mean, come on. My name is Spider Rico. Exactly. But my number 4 is Spider-Man No Way Home. I love this movie. I think this movie is chock full of phenomenal performances from Tom Holland. Alfred Molina as Otto Octavius comes back, and he's doing. Willem Dafoe is a powerhouse in this fucking movie, and I love him. In my opinion, it's his best performance as Norman Osborn / the Green Goblin yet. And but so we were talking about this earlier, the whole bringing in past characters and having that surprise factor, right? This movie, in my opinion, while there's so many great moments and from acting and storytelling wise, a lot of it is really riding on the reveal of the 2 other Spider-Men, right? Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. I feel like if you watching that, knowing that it's all coming, like if you love it and it still hits for you every single time, hell yeah, love that for you. I feel like to me, if once that surprise factor kind of wears off, the more and more you watch it, the movie just drops down a little bit for me. But even though the moment where they swing all together in that one sequence is one of my favorite shots of any comic book movie, for sure, and the fact that we're in an age where we're seeing these franchises of different ages really meld into one movie and in a great storytelling way. We got that. It was followed up by the little bit of a tease in Doctor Strange, where we got to see not just different Spider-Man franchises, but different Marvel franchises in general, like the different Fox franchises from Fantastic Four and X-Men finally joining into the MCU. So that was a big debut in and of itself for them too. But I feel like the usage of the villains can be a little bit messy at times in the middle. And I feel like it really rides on like that. In my opinion, the final act is the strongest in the movie. That final fight between Tom Holland and the Green Goblin, in my opinion, is some of the probably one of the best comic fights in general in movies. But yeah, the more I rewatched it, the more I feel like we were talking about earlier with Doctor Strange stuff, is that surprise factor kind of took off the fun of it for the fun, but like it just kind of takes off that big oomph that Spider-Man had. But it still carried on really amazing performances, and John Watts has really killed it throughout all 3 Star Wars movies. And or not
You
Star Wars,
said
Spider-Man.
Star Wars.
He's gonna do a Star Wars if I'm not mistaken. So that's why I'm
That's why he
thinking
left he was supposed to do Fantastic Four. That's why he
that's
left.
right. And I
Fantastic
think he's
Four.
doing Skeleton Crew, which is coming out this year.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's why I have him and those two things in my mind. I'm totally ready to see him take on Star Wars because I feel like he handles because that's a Skeleton Crew is going to be following a group of young kids within the
Right.
galaxy as well. So I think that's going to be a really good fit for him.
Right.
But yeah, I do love this movie. Like, don't get me wrong, I love this movie. I know it. I know you love it too. But this is it was really tough, kind of going through my final, like you said, the top five. You could really interchange a lot of these, and I don't think it's the wrong answer.
Yeah. I will save my comments until I get to mine.
Yeah.
But I will go with my number 4. My number 4 is Moon Knight.
Ooh, I love that.
I can't. I've already said it when you listed your Moon Knight. I cannot say enough how much I like this series, how much I now like the Moon Knight character, and I would love to see not only a season 2, but we got rumors of Midnight Suns potentially.
Yes.
Like I would love to see Oscar Isaac, mixing it up with Doctor Strange and maybe even a Ghost Rider if we get him integrated, the Black Knight. Like there's so much potential for the Moon Knight character and Oscar Isaac in general, because I think he just did a phenomenal performance. And not only that,
Layla.
Layla's awesome as what was the Scarlet Scarab?
Scarlet Scarab, yeah.
Yeah. She's great, and I cannot wait to see, what her character is gonna be doing in the second season.
Mm-hmm.
Now that she does have, these powers, because Tawet is her thing, like
Her
right?
avatar, yeah, she's the avatar for Tower, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But what I was gonna say, not only that, but we got one of my favorite jingly songs. I don't have it, so don't worry, I'm not gonna throw it to it. Is the hippopotamus song?
Oh yeah.
That's been forever stuck in my head, and I even have a clip on. Yeah, I have a clip on TikTok that did reasonably well for some of the clips. And it was just forever stuck in my head. And it really is.
Yeah.
Rent free up there forever. I just think it's an amazing song that Oscar Isaac performed live on a late night show. And I think it was great. But yeah, that was my number 4. Rico, what is your number 3?
Okay.
We're in the top 3 now, people.
Yeah, here we go. We're in the final 3, baby. What a ride's been, right? So number 3 for me, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Man, there's not much more I can say about this movie that probably hasn't already been said by Danny. But the way that this movie was able to tackle the hurdle of Chadwick Boseman's death and to create a meaningful story on top of that, paying tribute to their lost friend, brother, and kind of forwarding the legacy of his character at the same time was masterfully done by Ryan Coogler. Big shout out to Letitia Wright, Angela Bassett, like understatement how amazing she was in this goddamn movie. And Denai Guerrera were amazing. Winston Duke as M'Baku was shorthanded, but the moments we got from him were amazing. Tenoch Huerta as Namor, whatever you want to call him, was a powerhouse of a character and one of the best character debuts in all of Phase 4, in my opinion, which is fitting for a legendary character like him. I cannot wait to see the stories of both of these powerful nations within the MCU grow as time goes on, and boy, what the potential for Talokan, in my opinion, is sky high. So I am very much looking forward to seeing where things go from here. And you were talking about how, the introduction of Riri is so great. She's a wonderful actress, and I can't wait for her show later on this year. We were talking about how things can be shoehorned for the sake of promoting other projects, and the way that Riri could have fallen into that was the one way that I felt that that Ross was kind of shoehorned into this at the same time, right? So that was, in my opinion, very well done. And this was a beautiful movie, a wonderful tribute to Chadwick, and of course you love what Gordon with his music as always. the soundtrack and the score to the Black Panther movies is always just like hits on their level, in my opinion. And in my opinion, they nailed it again this time. And yeah, there's nothing bad I can say about this franchise. Okoye as the Midnight Angel and all that. And
Yeah.
it's so good, so good, so good, so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean there's nothing that I can say that obviously at this point that I haven't said and you haven't said and that we didn't already say in our recap version of all of this, which I think we talked for just under 30 minutes, like
Yeah,
for
you did a
that
solid
recap.
recap.
So it was a lot of fun to kind of recap, rewatch it, recap, do everything with that. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing where they're gonna go, and I mean, there's so many different options that they can do for like about a Black Panther 3, and just like I said in our recap, I really want to see a big conflict that brings Namor and Shuri or M'Baku, depending on if he is the leader of Wakanda. To have to combine forces and work together.
Absolutely.
That I'm very interested to kind of see that kind of plot for another movie type of thing moving forward. But now we get to my top three, and these are all going to be familiar because now we're basically intermeaning. Like we have all the top four are pretty much exactly.
And your number 3 is my number 2, so we can talk about it at the same time.
Yeah, back to back.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is Shang-Chi.
Mm.
Such a good movie.
Oh.
This was also just like Moon Knight, where it had that Guardians of the Galaxy. I use it as Guardians of the Galaxy effect just because that was the first time that I went. I knew nothing about the characters, and that I left the theater going.
There's a lot left for Phase 4 because we really dove into a lot of the really known characters of Marvel, and now that Phase 4 is their chance to really dive into some obscure characters because of their success. Really, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I just think from start to finish, I actually, just thinking about this list, I want to rewatch Shang-Chi again. Like I said, it probably
so good.
Everything in the top 10 I want to rewatch like after going through this list and thinking about all these movies. But Shang-Chi was just incredible. Like, and we've said it at this point. I've said it and you've said it. Balancing like lighthearted stuff with action and with a plot and stuff like that. I think they do this very well in this, where they have those little jokes, and they also can lean into the action and progress the plot that really leads to other things. And I think all of it's done, and just kind of the film style of when we see like the ancient city and all of that, like the mythical creatures, and I can't say enough how awesome I think this movie is, and I'm gonna have to watch it this weekend now. I've said it too many times.
It's a beautiful movie. You and me both are both father son guys, and that's really a big core of the story here. In my opinion, Wenwu is, in my opinion, one of the best villains in the entire MCU. When we did our recap, I called him the Darth Vader of the MCU eventually, and I think the way that his story is told, where he's trying to do this, his mission is a greater purpose for his family, even though that he's kind of warped into his own thing. And then, of course, the way that he gives his life for his children at the end is a beautiful arc for his character. But this is the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon of the MCU. Like the way that this movie, I'm a martial artist, so of course the way this movie beautifully displays martial arts in general is it's just top notch, and some of the best fight sequences you ever see in probably any MCU movie. We get the return of Ben Kingsley as Trevor, which is also a great return, a welcome return in my opinion. And of course, Morris, our little faceless.
Have a Morris back there.
Yeah, we got our faceless feathered friend. Was also great. That's that little MCU levity that you always look for in a movie. Of course, Aquafina as Kate is a great MCU addition, and the way she kind of feeds into the story and then plays into Shang-Chi's character is very, very well done. And Xu Xiaoling, of course, being the leader of the 10 Rings going forward, is something you can introduce into other storylines. And we were talking about that with the Power Broker earlier, and how I think that can play into the wider street level MCU stuff. Before I knew that the leader was going to be involved in Captain America 4, I was really thinking that we could see something with like Captain America dealing with the 10 Rings.
Yeah.
Who knows? We still could. Who knows what kind of strings the leader is pulling right now? But yeah, this this franchise really opens a lot of different doors. Of course, the post-credit scene kind of being possibly a tie to maybe Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which I'm still predicting we'll see a cameo from him in the movie. But
This time next week, we'll know.
we will know this time next week for sure, baby. But yeah, and also him being just a possible mentor to future Young Avengers / West Coast Avengers is another great. This again, so many doors available that you can open to story content with this character, and I very much enjoyed his inclusion into the MCU, and yeah, I think as far as new characters debuting was concerned, then the MCU knocked it out of the park with Phase 4 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you. Yeah, I'm going to rewatch this movie this weekend. And there's so many things I need to watch this weekend. The Last of Us episode, Grind, this now.
Grind.
Grind. But anyway, getting to my number 2. And my number 2 is your number 1. And the only reason it's not my number 1 is obviously because this little beauty here. But my number 2 is the Disney Plus series, which is crazy because it's a series that has made it to the top of a list between movies and series. Like you would think all of the movies in the past, movies were always like bigger and more like quality. You always assume the quality is going to be bigger with a movie versus a series. But now that we have the same budget with Marvel and for the Disney Plus series and the movies, we're seeing how awesome they can actually, when it's a really good story, you can do a movie quality everything and plot with the series too. Loki hit on everyone. Yeah. Loki was just incredible. I remember us doing recaps for it and just making like jokes because this is where you this was your jumping in point to doing the recaps because part of this you weren't on it.
No.
And then other part you weren't, and that was kind of moving forward. That was where we kind of
be our first retro recap because I wasn't there for the whole thing.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, Mobius is great in this. I mean, we have Sylvie in this. I thought she was a great character, and just seeing the personal journey that the Loki character takes, because this is the Loki that we get from the first Avengers. Yeah. So he didn't go through all of this character development in the Thor: The Dark World and Ragnarok and Infinity War, right, where he's willing to sacrifice himself for his brother and for the crew and some of the people type of thing. Like this is we're getting almost a blank slate, and then we still see that emotional connection that he has for his family and for his brother, and we really do see that it fleshes out such a well-rounded character, and we see that even through different experiences, Loki is genuinely a good person, because even though he didn't have it was the same character, different starting point, we still see that he is now moved to wanting to do what's right by the end of this series. We've taken him from the villain of Avengers, and still, even in different circumstances, he's still gotten to that character that he cares about people now, type of thing. And I think to be able to demonstrate that and then have a superhero plot over top of all of that is really something powerful, and it's really good writing, and it really just goes to show Tom Hiddleston as this character and how he really has a grasp on this character in general too. Because I can't think of Loki as any other person. Basically, I know we get a snippet of Matt Damon as Loki, or no, was Matt?
Yeah,
was Loki? Matt Damon was Loki in that. Yeah, but yeah, I could go on and on, but because this is your number one, why don't you jump in here and talk a little bit about Loki? And why
so my number one is Loki, and boy, this was the show that really kind of kicked off my really big excitement for the multiverse in the MCU. One, like you said, the way they're able to take this premise that was set up in Endgame with the Avengers, Loki kind of taking the Tesseract and just teleporting himself away and then building a story off of that is phenomenal. the way you're able to set up a story with Loki falling in love with a version of himself is pretty insane and but also amazing at the same time. And just kind of the way you're into this is how you first introduced Kang without introducing Kang too. At the same time, you brought in Jonathan Majors as He Who Remains, and just kind of off of that one amazing finale, you get a sense of what you could possibly expect from a character like Kane. And when you hopefully when we see Kang, you're gonna see the differences between those two characters, and you'll be like, wait, I thought they were like kind of like the same guy, but no, they're not. And it kind of goes back to that line that he says in the show, like, you think I'm bad, like, wait till you meet my variants. And you know exactly that He Who Remains is the one that was keeping all these guys in check, and now that he's gone, things are about to really go down in the MCU. And um the ramifications of what was set up in the finale are yet to still take massive effect within the MCU that we know, and that's still pretty fascinating to me because this was set up almost 2 years ago now. Um, so the way that this was the layered approach to the show, again, like Owen Wilson as Mobius was amazing. Gugu Mbatha was amazing as well. Um, yeah, I cannot wait to see what season 2 brings us.
That's coming this summer, right?
Later this year. Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe I almost want to say we'll get our first trailer maybe for that during Super Bowl as well. Who knows? But yeah, I adore Loki so much. I rewatched it 2 or 3 times already, and it holds up every single time. The music is phenomenal.
Yep.
It's yeah, I think this is a great character to utilize this very wacky style of approach to a TV show. It's like Quantum Leap, but in MCU, but with
Right.
Loki, and it's fantastic.
I
I
like
love it.
when he's DB Cooper. Like, there's so
Yeah,
many good
yeah,
things to like.
exactly. Like doing stupid stuff like that, and it's so good. And the fact that you able to get character growth out of a character who had this heroic ending in Infinity War, but it's not that same character. Like you said, it's the villain version of himself, but he sees everything that goes on in his life afterwards, and he decides like, I'm gonna change that and make something different of myself. And you kind of get to see where the core of what makes Loki really is. And uh again, we got to give a shout out to the Marvel assembled behind the scenes documentaries, because all these projects we listed, there's a behind the scenes documentary for every single one of them that you can watch, and it really gives you better insight into what makes these projects really special, and gives you definitely a deeper appreciation for what you watch on screen, even the ones you don't like as much. Like I love the She-Hulk ones and the Thor Love and Thunder, because like you see the work that goes into these kind of projects, and you know that they're not made with very little effort or labor or love. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, just like you said, there's so much to love about, and there's so much, like, we've got little tiny like photos of what's coming up for season 2, but it's gonna be batshit crazy in the best way possible. I
Mhm.
am so excited for it. I mean, we've kind of, I guess, theorized at like, do we think this Loki is going to at some point see Thor, like MCU Thor, and try to explain
He's
to
gonna be
him
an
like,
alien.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for all we know, the TVA could be out. I mean, we know the TVA is outside of time, but could it be in the quantum realm?
That new one that he got transported to for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Woo!
it's awesome. I can't wait. Yeah. Like I said, so here's my number one. Like I said, the only reason that we didn't have the exact same order to end was because of this guy right here, Spider-Man.
Yeah, Danny's favorite Spider-Man.
I had to go with Spider-Man No Way Home. You know, I understand like what you were saying, where like kind of some of the big thrills were gone upon rewatching and stuff. But man, just
Oh yeah, it doesn't make
being
it
able,
hit less hard.
yeah, but just being able to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew
Yeah, exactly.
Garfield and Tom Holland all in the same place, and
Yeah.
gearing up as Spider Men. um, it was
Something you never thought you'd see.
exactly. And not only that, this was one of the movies, because I mean, all these movies on this movies and TV shows on this list, they were great movies.
Mhm.
But none of these were really. I mean, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, to a smaller extent. None of these were really the big team up movies like Infinity War and Endgame.
No.
So we didn't have the big, movie theater going, holy shit. Like we didn't have like that, I feel like, for most of these. Like Wakanda Forever.
This is the building block phase, the transition phase.
Exactly. Wakanda Forever, we had some big parts where there were people cheering in the theaters and stuff like that. And there were definitely like huge emotional parts and stuff like that in Wakanda Forever, and to a smaller extent, like I said, Doctor Strange. There, when we saw the Illuminati members and stuff like that, there were reveals and stuff.
Right.
But this movie, going into it as blind as I possibly could, and I was hoping most of the people in my theater did. When you see that portal open and you see Andrew Garfield jump in and pull off his mask, every single person in my theater screamed. Like it was insane. And so just every time I watch it now, I think of that. Like I get back into that mode of like, I was there in a theater with a bunch of people just like going crazy when this happened type of thing. And so that experience for me is why like this leads to number one, just because just all of that encompassing and I can't ever unthink of that when I watch this movie. Not only that, I mean, I think it has a very strong plot. I would always, even if we were just to rank, this Spider-Man trilogy, I would put this above Far From Home. Type of thing, just because of
that's at the bottom for me in the trilogy, personally. Yeah,
right. But just because of the scope of the movie, and I think, like I said, I think that everything played right, and I'm excited to see where they go with this character moving forward, because I mean, it's all but confirmed that we're getting another trilogy of Tom Holland Spider-Man. I'm very interested to see kind of what they're going to do, what they're going to do, with everybody not knowing who he is. And the ramifications of this movie are far.
It resets the character, which is a great thing for Spider-Man. And
that was the other big reveal. Like it took 3 movies, but we finally got the 3 movies to where we got this.
We're gonna get the Spider-Man that we kind of deserve, I feel. Yeah.
Like. Where like now it's kind of, where Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was in the first movie and where Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was in the first movie. You know what I mean? Like we took a trilogy approach to get there, which you know what? It made it original type of thing. Like it was worth the wait, number one, and it shaped this character. Because obviously we got the character at a younger age. Like, yes, the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire starts in high school, but it's very, very quick. That's probably like 10% of the movie, or less than 20% of the movie is where he's in high school. After that, it kind of just blazes through, and he's in New York City working as a photographer type of thing. Right. But yeah, I even bringing back all of the old enemy. I loved this movie. This will always be.
It's the same effect as the Endgame portals thing, right? Like one's nothing takes away from that moment, like it does seeing those Spider-Man together. But it's because it's the story that pays off at the end of the day. Like it builds up to it and it pays off in a good way, and that's what makes it work at the end of the day. And yeah, for sure. At the end of the day, I think like this movie and Into the Spider-Verse will probably be the 2 movies that kind of contest as like the best Spider-Man movies of all time.
Yeah, don't even get me started on Into the Spider-Verse. We're talking about retro recaps. We may do that to get ready for Across the Spider-Verse. Maybe we'll do a retro recap of Into the Spider-Verse. And then I was going to say for the Loki series, we'll do a retro recap of season 1 before like leading up to season 2. We can get excited for season 2. We do a retro recap. But I think that's how we'll start doing. We'll start integrating the retro recaps by almost using it as getting prepared for the new installment. So like Into the Spider-Verse, we'll do a retro recap of that right before Across the Spider-Verse comes out, and then we'll do a regular that recap show of the new movie type of thing. Same thing with the Loki series. So anyway. Cheers one last time, because I mean at this point we've been going for almost 2 hours here. Cheers.
Boom. Cheers.
Very last drop of my drink. We both had a bathroom break, which we did in secret.
Well, it's no secret anymore.
I just pulled that curtain away at this point.
Way to go.
Anyway, also, I just wanted to say two last things. Let me use the stupid little JPEG thing I made. As I've been mentioning, we are available now in audio form, where you can find, most podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Audible, Google Podcasts, all of those places. Find us. We are going to be trying to do more things with the audio versions of things. If we want to jump on and just do 10 minutes really quick, we don't have to worry about, getting our setups all ready or having to edit the video wise. We might start doing stuff like that. We also, we just want to have some fun in different mediums. And that leads me to my next thing is you see my Twitch handle right below me. You also see Rico's Twitch handle right over there. Rico is live streaming a lot more often than I am, but
try to go every day.
That being said, he's very good. I recommend if you're not already following him on Twitch, that you follow him on Twitch. But that being said, I did test out a Twitch stream of Fortnite last week. And I believe tomorrow I'm going to jump on and test out a live stream again. And hopefully the mission of this next one is to get your audio over the the stream also.
No, I'll just stream at the same time and they can just watch us both at the same time.
There we go. Yeah, just pull us both up at the same time.
There you go. Co-stream.
Yeah, co-stream. But anyway, like we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What is your Phase 4 ranking? Let's list them out. I mean, there's only 15 entries. We got it in there. And what are you most excited for getting into Phase 5? I mean, just like we said, Phase 5 is here in less than a week at this point. We got 6 days until Phase 5 is officially here with Ant-Man Quantumanium, or Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumanium. Cannot wait for everything that's happening in Phase 5. And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest video and audio podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Popping Off presents That Recap Show.